Today we're going to trim a bowl, and I use Clary Illian's method of trimming a bowl. This is Deborah Goletz, and I use Clary Illian's method, and there's 3 measurements that I make on the bowl before I trim it. One is I measure the floor thickness by placing a pin tool inside until I can just see it starting to crown. There it is. And so the pin tool went on the outside, and I pull it out and I take a reading, and that is about 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to write that right on the bottom of the pot, 3/8 inch, so I don't forget. Heel over that hole on the inside, be sure to do that. This bowl was thrown a few days ago, and now it's leather hard, so it feels like cheese, like a block of cheese. I don't leave fingerprints on it. It's not going to change its shape because it's firm enough. The next measurement I make is I run 2 fingers down the side of the bowl, and where it starts to get thick, I make a little mark, and that place is right here. So I'm going to draw a line and a couple of lines below it. So I know everything from here down will get trimmed, and everything from here up is going to be saved and not trimmed. The last thing I do is I decide how wide this foot's going to be, and interestingly enough, I do that by looking down on the inside. If you've got a nice steady curve on the inside, generally I will make the foot about a little more than half the diameter of the pot, so that's about half the diameter there. And then I'll make it just a little more than that, and that will be the thickness of the foot. So what I'll do is I'll put a couple of little marks in from the edge about where the foot is going to go, maybe there and there. Now I've got to get this centered on the wheel, so you can line it up with the bullseyes first, and then hold your pin tool as you, let's turn the wheel on. As you spin the wheel, medium speed, slowly approach it with the pin tool until it makes a line. Hold it there, stop the wheel, put that line directly in front of you with all fingers on the wheel so you don't push it too far. Give it a small little push, and then heel over that line. We're going to do that again until the line basically goes all the way around the pot. So now the line goes from here all the way over to here. So we're going to center that right in front of me. All fingers on the wheel head, small little push forward, and then erase that line again. So each little push is we're moving it a little closer to being centered. Now what I'm getting is I'm getting a line on one side, and then a line across from it on the other side, and that indicates that the bowl has become slightly oval during the course of handling. So I'm going to assume that that's centered since I have lines on both sides across from each other, and leave it at that. Now we're going to take some soft clay, roll it into coils about thumb or finger width in diameter. Break those in 2, and then placing 2 at a time right next to the pot, stick it down first to the wheel head pretty firmly, and then just cozy it into the wheel. And you'll notice that I'm working 2 sides at the same time so I don't push it off center while I'm attaching it to the wheel head. We'll do that in 4 places. I like 4 places because I can always work directly across from myself. So right next to the pot, stick it down into the wheel head firmly, and then just gently cozy it into the pot so that we don't distort the rim in doing that. The next thing we'll do is with the pin tool, holding the pin tool pointing away from you, drop down a line at about the place where that foot ring is going to be. That's where the 2 lines were. If you're left-handed, you'll want to hold it facing to your right and drop the line down at 6 o'clock. If you're right-handed, hold it in your right hand and drop the line at 3 o'clock. If this was a clock face, this would be at 3 o'clock. Always facing away from you. Don't have your pin going like this, or you'll make a slice in. We're going to drop another line about 1/4 of an inch to the inside of that line, and that now defines the outside and the inside of our foot ring. The next thing we're going to do is drop a small hole in the center just to give us a depth of how far we can go. Now, I wrote that it was 3/4 of an inch thick there in the center, so I always like to leave 1/4 of an inch behind, so that means I'm only going to go down about 1/8 of an inch. So I'll just go down a little bit, and you can always use a ruler. Rest that pin tool in there, put your fingernail straight across, pick that up, and that's about 1/8 of an inch hole thickness in the middle. I'm going to leave this inside alone for now and just work on the outside. If you have a nice steady curve on the inside, whatever your floor thickness was here, that's how deep your foot is going to be. So that takes all the question about how deep of a foot do I need to put on the pot. We're going to go 3/8 of an inch, because that's how thick the floor was in the center. And the reason I can go down 3/8 of an inch here for the foot is because the bottom of the floor has curved and gone further away by the time it's out here at the foot area. So I still will have enough play there. I don't like my feet to go straight up, so I'm going to hold this tool at a slight angle. And notice how I hold the tool and steady it with both hands. So the thumb of my left hand is on it, and the middle finger of my left hand is in that little hole that I made. So I have a lot of grip on this tool so it doesn't jump out of my hands. Now I've got to take care of the area that's in between the foot and this line. So I'm going to adjust the angle of my tool. It was at this angle. Now I'm going to adjust it slightly with the bottom up a little bit, and I'm going to hold it there and just start shaving away this clay. You want there to be no bump or ridge between the foot and that mark on the outside of the pot. It should be like a ski slope that goes straight down from the foot all the way down. And notice again, I'm holding it with two hands so it doesn't jump out of my hands. And I'm rocking the tool back and forth, so I'm now obliterating that line and creating just a nice smooth side wall of your bowl. If you want to go back in and smooth that foot a little bit, you can do so now. Now we're going to carve out the inside, and we're going to start by making a little ridge, and I put my left index finger inside there. Now if you're left-handed, you're going to be working at 6 o'clock here and travel up to the center. If you're right-handed, you're going to be working at about 4 or 3 o'clock and work straight to the center. We'll start with a ridge right inside that line. What you don't want to do is you don't want to damage the clay between those two lines. So I'm going to try not to let any of my tools hit that line. And then I'm going to travel from the ridge straight across to the center. So just imagine a straight path. Beginners tend to go either up or down like this. You really need to stay on a straight, steady path to the center, and just like you're shaving out one layer at a time. And then we'll go back to the ridge, deepen it a little bit more, and then we'll shave out one layer of clay all the way straight to the center. Then we'll deepen the ridge a little bit more, and then we'll shave out one layer of clay until you get to a pretty even across area. So now it's fairly even all the way across. And we could end here, except that the inside of the bowl is not flat on the bottom, it's curved. So I'm going to put my tool in there on that same line that I was just traveling, and then push down on the tip end of the tool so I lower this part. So what you want to see at the end is you want to see a mound shape that comes up here, continues on the other side of the foot, reaches its pinnacle, and then goes back down. So it's like a mound with a bracelet sitting on top. I'm going to just clean up this area a little bit right here. smooth that by rocking my tool back and forth. I'm going to smooth the top of the foot. You can use your finger. If it's too hard to make your fingers smooth that, you can rest the side of your pin tool on that foot, and that'll give you a nice smooth surface so that it doesn't cut into your countertop. And I'm going to put my fingers on these edges to sort of compress and smooth those too. And that is a foot ring. Let's turn it over. And your bowl should feel fairly even, and the wall should feel fairly even when you put your fingers down the side. And that's it.